She thought Sean was her brother, the one who protected her, the one she trusted more than anyone else, until the day he locked her inside a mansion. Until the doors closed, until the guards stayed silent, until he placed a red wedding dress into her shaking hands, and leaned close enough for her to feel his breath as he whispered, "You're mine now." In that moment, everything she believed about love, family, and safety collapsed. The man she trusted most became her worst nightmare. "So tell me, what would you do if the person you called family was the one who destroyed your freedom?" Haley Shaw's pulse raced as she glanced at Sean Mercer, her father's adopted son, who drove in tense silence. "Where are you taking the car, Sean?" she asked, her voice tight with nerves. He didn't answer. He only told her to stay quiet, his tone sharp, ice cold. Haley's chest tightened. In that moment, she realized the boy she had always called Big Brother was gone. In his place sat a man she barely recognized. Memories of his kindness and protection collided violently with the fear curling inside her. Minutes later, the car slowed. They had arrived at a deserted, luxurious farmhouse far outside the city. Before she could react, Sham dragged her inside, rough, unrelenting, ignoring her screams. A door slammed. A lock clicked. She was thrown into a large, unfamiliar room. Fear clawed at her heart. Not panic. Something deeper. Something colder. Soon, servants appeared, their faces blank, their movements practiced, carrying a heavy red dress. Then Sean spoke, just 3 words. Enough to freeze her blood. "It's your wedding." Her protest fell first, then her pleas, then her tears. None of it mattered. The door clicked shut again. Haley was trapped, terrified, alone. The man who had once protected her had become captor. The coldness in his eyes and the promise of revenge behind them left her trembling. But deep inside, beneath the fear, a spark remained. Defiance. Resolve. She made a silent vow. She wouldn't give up, not without a fight. Haley stared at the ornate red dress, her hands trembling. "What is this for, Sean?" she whispered. Disbelief lacing her voice. "It's your wedding," he replied, a poisonous smile creeping across his face. Shock and terror surged through her. She tried to reason with him, mentioning her father, pleading for her family, begging him to let her go. Sean's fury only intensified. He shoved her back into the room, the door slamming shut behind him. "Change," he ordered, locking the door tight. Alone, Haley crumpled on the sofa, the weight of her family's powerlessness crushing her chest. Memories of Sean's childhood surfaced, how her father had raised him after his parents' tragic death, how he had once been her big brother, her protector. Yet now, he was cruel, relentless, unpredictable. When he returned, he dragged her to a grand lounge. The sight of fierce hunting dogs and a cold, impassive officiant made her heart leap with terror. Sean pushed the marriage certificate toward her. "Sign it," he commanded. Fear paralyzed her. The dogs, his threats, left her with no choice. Hands shaking, tears streaming, Haley signed the document. Sean's victory was complete, yet Haley's mind raced. She had survived the first step of his revenge, but a storm of questions and fear consumed her. Why had the man she loved turned into this monster? And what, truly, was driving his wrath? Haley's sobs echoed through the mansion. Sean's words cut deeper than any physical pain. "You're just the price," he whispered, his eyes burning with anger. The truth began to emerge. Her father had taken everything from Sean. The life of his real parents, their property, and his inheritance. How couldn't he reconcile the gentle boy she once knew with the man standing before her? Every explanation about her father's love fell on deaf ears. Sean was relentless, using her as the symbol of the price paid for decades of injustice. He pushed her to confront not only his pain but her own complicity through silence. Alone in a lavish but cold house, Haley was forced to consider the dark undercurrents of her father's empire. Sean's accusations, once impossible to believe, began to sow seeds of doubt. As night fell, she realized her fight for survival was not just physical but moral and emotional. The red dress, the locked rooms, the harsh orders, all became tools of his lesson. Despite her despair, a flicker of determination rose. She would survive. She would understand Sean's pain. She would prove her father's innocence. But first, she had to endure the torment. He had orchestrated so meticulously, her strength tested to the very limits of fear, pain, and exhaustion. Haley struggled to adjust to the cruel reality Sean had created. The luxurious farmhouse, now stripped of warmth, became a prison. Sean demanded she cleaned, cook, and maintain the sprawling estate alone, threatening further punishment if she failed. Her soft hands scraped raw on the rough floors. Dust and grime covered her body as she worked tirelessly, each task a reminder of her captivity. Hunger gnawed at her. Exhaustion weighed her down, yet she pressed on. The red dress, once a symbol of opulence, had been replaced by ragged clothing from Sean's late mother's wardrobe. Every corner of the house reminded her of the life she had lost. At night, the darkness amplified her fear. Shadows seemed alive, whispers haunted empty hallways, and the silence pressed on her mind. Sean's presence remained constant, yet unpredictable. Sometimes harsh, sometimes offering small, reluctant comforts, leaving Haley torn between terror and glimpses of the boy she had once loved. Despite the torment, she refused to break completely. She bandaged her injuries poorly. She continued the cleaning, and she whispered to herself that she would not succumb. Survival became a test of both body and will. Each day brought new challenges, but Haley's mind remained sharp. She vowed that one day she would expose the truth, confront Sean, and clear her father's name. The mansion's study became a chamber of horrors for Haley. Sean's files, videos, and documents revealed a reality that shattered her world. Her father, the man she had trusted implicitly, was accused of orchestrating the deaths of Sean's parents, forging documents, and betraying those who had shown him loyalty. Haley's shock turned to disbelief. Each piece of evidence seemed impossible. The video of her father handing cash to the truck driver, bank statements, and legal confessions painted a picture she could not ignore. Sean's voice cut through her protests. "Your father murdered my parents. I have proof," she screamed. She wept, and she refused to accept the narrative, but the evidence was overwhelming. Trapped between loyalty and emerging truth, Haley faced a moral and emotional crisis. Sean's anger was tempered with moments of care. He ensured her survival, yet his revenge was merciless. She could see his pain, his need for justice, and yet she felt betrayed, lost, and powerless. Her father, once a symbol of safety and authority, was now the target of relentless accusations. Haley understood the stakes. To survive, to protect her loved ones, and to uncover the full truth, she would have to navigate the dangerous maze Sean had constructed, balancing fear, resistance, and the fragile hope of reconciliation. The night Sean left her alone in the house marked a turning point. Haley, battered and exhausted, realized she could not rely on anyone else. The red threads of evidence, the locked doors, and harsh commands had forced her into a new reality. One where her survival depended entirely on her courage and wit. She cleaned, cooked, and learned to navigate the mansion's secrets, her resolve hardening with each challenge. The injuries she sustained, the exhaustion, and the relentless pressure became a crucible, forging a determination she hadn't known she possessed, even as Sean's vengeance loomed. Moments of care, meals provided, attention to injuries, confused her emotions, making her question the line between hatred and responsibility. She began to see Sean not only as a vengeful figure, but as a man shaped by loss and betrayal, struggling to reconcile his anger with his past. Each night, she whispered to herself, promising to endure, to survive, and to seek the truth behind the mask of vengeance. Her growing understanding of Sean's pain, coupled with her unwavering loyalty to her father, set the stage for a confrontation that could either heal the wounds between them or destroy everything she loved. Haley's growing awareness of Sean's past and motives collided violently with reality. When masked gunmen attacked him, as bullets struck, her fear turned to shock, and then to a sudden, overwhelming realization of her love for him. She rushed to his side, witnessing his vulnerability, the human fragility beneath his relentless anger. Her cries and care awakened Sean's suppressed humanity. The man who had tortured her physically and emotionally was also capable of trust. He was capable of tenderness. He was capable of relying on her love. In the hospital, Haley stayed by his side, understanding the complexities of vengeance, loyalty, and justice. The emotional pivot was profound. She saw Sean's pain, understood the depth of his betrayal by her father, and realized that her anger was entwined with compassion. This crisis redefined their relationship. Fear and hatred were replaced by empathy, responsibility, and a dawning recognition of shared suffering. The balance of power shifted. The protector became the protected. The enemy became the loved one, and the twisted game of revenge transformed into an opportunity for healing and reconciliation. Haley sat beside Sean, holding his hand as he recovered. The red dress, the mansion, and the threats faded into memory, replaced by care, trust, and a fragile hope for the future. Sean's vengeful fire had been extinguished, replaced by a protective, measured presence. They spoke of forgiveness, justice, and rebuilding the lives shattered by past sins. Haley, once trapped and powerless, now understood the depth of Sean's pain and resilience. They shared moments of quiet tenderness and reflection, bridging the gap between vengeance and love. Sean, aware of Haley's loyalty and understanding, let go of anger while retaining the lessons of his past. Haley's father faced justice, yet the bond between her and Sean emerged stronger than ever. Together, they embraced a new chapter, one of healing, trust, and shared purpose. The house, once a symbol of torment, became a sanctuary of connection and growth. Haley's courage, compassion, and perseverance had survived the crucible of fear and revenge, culminating in a love forged not in ease, but in resilience. Their journey illustrated the power of truth, endurance, and the transformative strength of forgiveness and understanding. This marked the beginning of a life defined by love, respect, and mutual healing. Haley and Sean stood together in the quiet of the mansion, the sun casting a warm glow through the dusty windows. The storm of vengeance, fear, and pain that had consumed them both was finally behind them. Sean, once consumed by rage, now held Haley's hand, gently, no trace of cruelty in his eyes, only care and quiet resolve. Haley looked at him, her heart still tender from all she had endured, and realized that love had survived even the darkest trials. The mansion, once a prison of fear, now felt like a home built on trust, courage, and understanding. Outside, the world continued, but inside, they had found peace and a chance to heal together. Haley's father had faced justice. The truth had come to light, and the sins of the past no longer ruled their lives. Sean whispered softly, "No more games. No more revenge. From now on, it's just us." Haley smiled through tears, knowing that the nightmare had ended and a new chapter had begun, one of love, redemption, and unbreakable bonds. The story closed on a note of hope, resilience, and the enduring power of forgiveness, leaving viewers with a lingering sense of emotional triumph and satisfaction.